I move that the board reconvene into open session. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Vote? Aye. Do I hear a motion to certify?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Whereas the Northumberland County School Board convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 223712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters are lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law or discussed in the closed meeting, which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Ms. Mazik,
I certify.
Dr. Curran,
I certify.
Dr. Davis,
I certify.
Ms. O'Meara,
I certify.
Ms. Christopher.
I certify. All right, at this time, would each person stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Chair, we'll now have action items from the closed meeting. I make a motion to approve the personnel as follows. The substitute teachers, excuse me, Kyle Stansbury, Allison Christopherson, Vita Payne, Mary Slaughter. I'm gonna mess that name up, I'm sorry. Rasan Monroe, Gladys Richardson. Next, I have I'm adding it all as one motion, I apologize. The NMS supplemental contract for the Junior Beta Club sponsor, Mackenzie Hall. The NHS coaches list for winter sports. I have head boys basketball, Kyle Jones, boys basketball assistants, Brandon Webb, Michael Parker, Keelan Hardcastle. I have a head girls basketball, Lewis Howard. I have assistant girls basketball coaches, Wayne Carter, Terrell Diggs. I have head wrestling, Joey Sanford, assistant wrestling, Jay Davis, head swim coach, Blair Wanger, head indoor track coach, Dennis Lee, JV sideline cheer, Erica Cook. I also have NMS coach for winter sports, cheer, Victoria West. Then I have substitute car driver, Chester Smith. And that is all of the personnel's positions for that motion.
Okay.
Have a second?
Yeah.
Do I hear
Second.
comments? Vote? Aye. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the MOA with ProCare Therapy pending the superintendent's review. Do I have a second?
Second.
Comments? Vote? Aye. I'd like to make a motion for the following resignations: Martha Hicks and Alexis Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Comments? Vote? Aye. That's all the closed session action items I have.
All right. Do we have approval of the minutes?
First, the agenda.
Pardon?
The agenda.
Motion to move, a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
And do-
Second.
Comments? Vote?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll move on to a motion to approve the minutes from the September 8th, 2025 meeting as presented. Do I have any amendments or changes or additions? If none, do I hear a second?
Second.
Comments?
Yes,
Vote? Oh, go ahead.
I got a comment.
Sorry.
Shelley, you did a really, really good job on those minutes. They were complete. And I just want to say thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Lipton. All right, and we can move on to
You
presentation.
have to vote.
We need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out of whack too. Okay. Second, we heard a second from Ms. Christopher. We heard comments, and now we'll take the vote. Aye.
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 All right, thank you for that. All right, now we'll move on to presentations. We have, hold on just a second.
Check register.
Do we want to move that down to finance?
Yes, I
Oh.
scooted it down.
Okay, I just wanted to verify before I moved on. All right, we have a request to make appropriations for the abatement estimate. Do we have anybody?
Mr. Hardcastle, are you
Yeah.
able to come up? So just to let the board know that previously there were some capital funds set aside at the county level, $110,000 for some mitigation of the well. So at this point, Mr. Hardcastle is going to catch us up with what he's been doing to look if we're able to make a request to the Board of Supervisors for the appropriation to follow the quote that we have to hopefully get the well taken care of. And Mr. Hardcastle also has some other good news for you, but I'll let him take over.
Okay. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. We're just waiting for the presentation to get pulled up so that we could all follow along together right now.
Okay.
Okay, here.
I can see the issue. It's saved as a PowerPoint. If you give me 30 seconds, I'll put it in as a PDF and re-upload it.
Okay.
You can start if you like.
Absolutely. The last time we spoke, I believe we were in the process of receiving quotes for us to be able to start the process to get this well project started. And I wanted to come back and kind of start with a refresher and then give a couple of updates and then request approval for one of these quotes that we have, if I could. So the first thing that I'd like to start with is the refresher. So I have this project broken down into phases. The first phase of this project is obviously going to be the initial assessment that we have to have done by a third party of a certified engineer and project manager, other people who could also make a professional opinion on what we need to do to take the next steps forward. The next phase is going to be the integration process, and this could be done one of two ways. The first way is the way that we're choosing to follow now, which is to have the 3 schools tied into one well, and that's being that the assessment phase goes well. The other way that we could have this done is to have a new well completely constructed, and I do have a few ideas on that we've been working together with as a group here. The third phase is the well abandonment, which is just meeting the stated verbatim of the permit, which means we have to have a well in place that can continue to let the schools function properly, but also we do have to abandon one of the wells. So the first update that I'd like to give is based on the proposals that we received last time and that I spoke to you guys about as well. The proposal that I suggested going with was power and fuel. I want to give an update about that proposal. The update that I've received is that the quote was for $8,142. However, this proposal does not include an engineer. It does not include any monitoring of this data. It does not include a recommendation for action either. These 3 things are going to be needed for us to move forward on this proposal. And because we don't have those 3 things, I cannot recommend that we move forward with that proposal anymore. That being said, we do have the very first proposal, which is from Stantec, to do all of these 3 things: install the transducer, monitor the data, give a recommendation. I also took it upon myself to reach out to them and say, hey, could you guys send back an updated proposal that includes necessary steps for action if it is found that the well that we do have here is not able to support the addition of the elementary school to the well. They were able to send me back a proposal for that. It doesn't include any increase in price whatsoever. However, I do want to make it known that this is different from what we did talk about last time. I am stating now that I would like to go with the Stantec proposal, and that is based on the summarization of all the data that I've received so far and all of the information that I've received from the companies that I have reached out to. And I'm gonna be seeking that approval at the end of this presentation. The last thing that I did want to update you guys on, and as we see now, the presentation is there. So if we move to the next slide, this is the phases that I had lined out for everyone to see. First phase, initial assessment. That's the update that I just spoke of and the approval that I'll be looking for. The second phase is the integration, being that the initial assessment goes well. The third phase is the well abandonment, which is going to have to be done either way. I will be giving an update about that shortly as well. So as we can see it all lined out here, power and fuel, the transducer that they want to install, perfectly fine. However, there would be no engineer involved in this process. I believe last time we did speak, I said that there was an engineer involved in the process. I misheard based on the phone call that I had with the owner of that company. He stated he would be able to reach out to an engineer. That being said, as the proposal I received says, there is no engineer involved. I cannot recommend that we go further with this proposal because there's also no monitoring being done and there's also no recommendation of further action if it is found that the well is not able to support the 3 schools together. That's why I have the Stantec proposal over here. Install the transducer. That's something that we need to have done. The monitoring of the water levels for a maximum of 6 weeks. They would also be sending an engineer for a site evaluation. This is something that would be included in the recommendation for further steps if it is found that the well is not able to support the 3 schools. Lastly, they would be providing a recommendation. This is something that we need, like I stated before, from a third party for us to be able to move forward and actually start the process for construction. And then lastly, I wanted to update everyone. There is something in the permit that we have that states that we need to abandon our well called a minor modification. This minor modification allows us to extend the well abandonment date by a maximum of 120 days. I applied for this back on September 22nd. The DEQ informed me that they are processing this extended date and it would be extended to June 29, 2026, which would give us about an extra 4 months to go ahead and finish the projects as stated. So that's going to conclude my presentation for everyone tonight. I just wanted to lastly thank everyone for the patience that they've had in this process. I know it's a process that's very important. I'm working with my group and everyone around me the best I can to get this done. And the last thing that I want to, I guess, ask for is the approval of this first proposal from Stantec so we can finally begin the process on this project.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. And if there are any questions, this is, I guess, a great time to ask them. I'm open to answering anything.
Have they given you a timeline on the length of time it's going to actually take to complete the project?
Are we talking for the initial project or for the entirety of the whole? The entirety
entire
of it?
project, yeah.
What I can tell you so far is, and I don't want to get anyone's hopes up because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give the facts and for us to move forward based on those. It would take up to 6 weeks for this first project to be finished. And this first project, as I've stated before, would show whether or not we could move forward with integrating the 3 schools together into one well, or if we would have to move in a different route. So there's 2 ways, like I said, that it could go. If we are able to move forward and tie the 3 schools together, we would have until that June 29th date. But we've been doing a little bit of research on the school grounds here and looking at where the lines are actually tied into and looking at how far the lines go. So what I'm seeing so far, based on my department and the work that we've been doing, is that if it were to go perfectly, I say that very, very precisely. If it were to go perfectly, we would only need about 300 feet of extra line to be laid down into the ground. I don't know exactly how long that could take, but I don't think it would take 6 months to do. I don't think it would take 4 months to do. I think the longest process that we're going to see here is probably the permitting process, because those are always things that could take months at a time as we go through the different phases that it takes to get a permit approved. The entire process, I don't think, should take until the June 29th date. I would like to have this done by March 1st, as that was the initial stated date that we needed to have this done by. And so I want to stand by that and continue to roll by that timeline. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Is everyone comfortable with moving forward with the vote tonight?
Yeah.
Everyone? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Hardcastle to move forward with the Stantec Consulting proposal for the well project. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any comments? We've already commented. All in favor? Thank you so much for all your hard work on that project. I know you're crunched for time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, no problem.
We'll see you in 6 weeks.
We will.
All right, and now next we have the request for appropriation of funds for transportation, and that's on that engine replacement.
Good evening. So that's me. If you can just move right on to the second slide. Again, I will be requesting to request from the Board of Supervisors some capital funds that were previously put aside for transportation. So quick funding rundown. Last time we spoke, we had requested $52,000 for 2 used buses to make that purchase. We made that request to the Board of Supervisors as well, and it was approved. You'll see the original quote below. The original quote was these buses with these mileage at $26,000 per bus. Unfortunately, though, our quote was still good. Those exact buses has sold. So we did place an order and they're getting ready to deliver those buses, but we got 2 with slightly higher mileage, but we did get a good deal on them, which made it $20,000 per bus for a total of $40,000. Next slide, please. We do have a bus, unfortunately, that needs a brand new engine. It would give us another bus for a lot less money. So the spending at a glance was originally that capital improvement, or excuse me, that capital money was $200,000 back in March of 23. A bus was purchased for $125,269, leaving the balance to $74,731. Again, here is the request below for the purchase of the 2 buses we made in October of 2025. Technically, it was made in September, but it actually got serviced in October, leaving a balance of what was appropriated for transportation at $34,731. Next slide, please. Based on that fact, we did go out and collect some quotes on what it would cost to get an engine, to replace the engine in the bus that we need. We were able to get the 3 quotes, as you see here, one from Kingmore, one from Excel, and one from Rush Truck. You can see that the one from Excel here falls in at $36,635.99. You can see the other one on the bottom. I couldn't see it on mine. Next slide, please. So what we would like to do with is to return to the spending at a glance and go and request from the Board of Supervisors to be able to get access to that $34,731 still remaining as capital funds in that account. Even though we are asking for more than that, $36,635, we will be able to find the $1,904 balance within the transportation budget, which would allow us to have another bus in our fleet with a new engine in it. For the cost to the school division at $1,904, and those capital funds that the Board of Supervisors so generously set aside several years ago for us to pick up the balance for the $36,635, thus zeroing that transportation.
I have a question.
Sure.
So the $12,000 that's left over in the capital improvement for buses, can we apply that to the engine with the Board of Supervisors approval and reduce that cost?
12,000?
Yeah, you said 40, originally it was 52,000.
Right, originally it was
Take away
52,
40.
but we
and
only
that's
ended up
12.
paying- Oh, go back up. Nope, keep going. Keep going, up.
Maybe I misread.
That's okay.
Misunderstood you.
No, originally when the first bus was purchased in March of 23, it was $125,269, which left us with a balance of $74,731. With the buses that we got with slightly higher mileage, that was $40,000 total for the 2 buses, a little bit less, which brought the balance on that account to $34,731. So what we actually need for a new engine is $36,635. Pardon me, I stuttered there. So the only difference between those balances is the $1,904, which again, we would be able to use from the transportation budget that's existing. So the request would be whether or not I could move forward to make that request to have those capital funds released.
I move that we direct the superintendent to request additional funding from the Board of Supervisors.
You hear a second?
Second.
Any comments? Vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the financial reports. Be the check register, ACH approval, revenue and expenditure reports.
Good evening. Just,
Evening.
there we go. Dr. Karen Pika, and I'm here tonight. I'm going to try to talk slower. That is not one of my strong suits, but I'm going to work on that. B, I am the unpaid or pro bono finance coordinator for the county. I started work, if you will, on September 19th. So I've been on board, I think, around 8 or 9 days. And tonight, what you have in front of you is a whole lot of reports. I'm going to walk through them in brief. They've all been posted since, I think, Thursday. So hopefully you had time to take a look at them. For the check register, what you'll see is there's a check register up there. I'm not 100% certain if it still needs to be approved or not, but it's there for your viewing. The one reason that that check 3419 is highlighted is because that check is going to be void. The wrong vendor was paid. So that check is being backed out. So there's the check register. There is no ACH report because there were no ACH payments made in September. So I don't know what y'all want to do. I don't know that you have to vote on the check register anymore, but I will defer to the board if they choose to do that.
How did the wrong vendor get paid? Do you know that answer?
I do not. I have not had time to relook at that. I do not. I think it's probably the way the vendors are cataloged in the system. Sometimes there are hyphen add-ons after it. And I think it frankly was just a confusion about the hyphen add-on.
May I add that that is exactly what happened in this case. There was a very long name for two vendors. They were very similar. Whoever cut the check probably wasn't able to see the extension on it when it was originally sent.
Was the payment returned from the wrong vendor?
Yes.
The company actually was wonderful and called us and
Okay.
agreed to return the check to us.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the check in our offices. Okay, so moving on, I think the bus engine has already been taken care of. And the majority of those checks are also, the majority of that spending is for a return to the state for the special education. We are behind in payments at the school, so I will turn right now to, there's a document in there called the executive report. So I gave you all a summary, essentially where we are revenue to date as compared to last year. We're 1.8 million less in revenue at this than we were at this point last year. And we are we're 700,000 lower in expenses than we were at this point last year. So I'm still digging into the revenue reports and where we are and what to expect in terms of changes. We are more than $500,000 in arrears in payments. There have been invoices. I walked into that office with 8 inches of invoices sitting on the desk. I collected all the invoices that have been sitting on everybody else's desks. They are now on the desk I'm using, which I'm happy to say that there will be a new county finance director in place on October 14th. I'm very much looking forward to working with Dr. Ann Curran. I will continue in the role that I have modified a little bit, but I'm very much looking forward to working with her because right now there's a lot happening. We're going to have, I think, the Board of Supervisors is going to bring on a new finance person, accounts payable and HR. Everyone will be in place before October 1. So that's fantastic news. And I'm sorry, November 1. Thank you, November 1. And I'm also happy to say that we have support in place for payroll. So there should be no gap in any teacher expenses, any staff payroll for November. There may be a few hiccups on my end with respect to some hours coming in, et cetera. So I'm here to say that will be taken care of. The Board of Supervisors is taking care of that. So today I put over to the county treasurer's office about $75,000 in payments. So those should be going out the door, electronic payments this week. There should be another, if all goes well, another 150 that can be written in checks by the end of the week. I have to tell you, I am not at all certain why we're still writing checks for some of these payments. In this day and age, I have no idea why Dominion Power is paid by check. Can't explain it. So there's a lot of process improvements, even in the 8 days that I've been there, that I'm keeping a list of so that we can make some improvements because we're working like we're still existing in the 1970s. And that is no way to sustain an office. It's no way to keep your staff happy. We've got experienced people that are going to be working on stuff that doesn't need to be worked on. So we have to make those changes. And I'm looking forward with Dr. Kern to do that. The priorities that I have in place right now, based on what the Board of Supervisors has directed me to do, is to make sure pay and benefits are up to date, address the backlog in vendor payments, address the backlog in revenue deposits and assignment. We have around $944,000 that has been clocked in at the county and for revenue. I don't know how much of that is going to be returned to the schools versus how much of that has to stay at the county for reimbursements. I have another almost 90,000 in revenue in checks sitting on my desk that haven't been deposited since August, the 1st of August. So there's revenue that needs to be booked, there's revenue that needs to be accounted for, and there's revenue that needs to be deposited. Another priority was completing the annual state report by today. That ain't happening. I've talked to some other finance directors that are in schools, and in some cases, they work on nothing else but this report for 3 weeks in order to get it done. We have completed key aspects of the report, but we are nowhere near completing the report, so we're going to be asking for another extension on that. And I have found out that in Northumberland County, we have been as late as January in submitting that report. I do not want that to happen, but with the current workload we have, it's not going to happen. Not going to be done by today. Verify submission of state, federal, and VEC taxes. I can't even verify that the payroll taxes were paid for the first quarter. So we have things that need to happen, and they need to be verified. So working on that. And then we also got a letter from our auditor that our census, VRS, no, it's the VS, there's a census for how we're making the payments for retirement accounts. We're wrong. They sampled, I think, 17 records, and at least 2 of those 17 were wrong, which means we now have to go back and take a look at all of that as well. So the risks that we have, I gave you some risks and some mitigation strategies. The public can see that. That is in the report that's up there. I also have given some key observations. Right now, we're in the point where technology is driving the processes, which is backwards. That shouldn't happen. We're going to be making some recommendations on that. The processes in place are very hands-on. One of the things I can tell you that I've done since I've been on board, there has been some inconsistent application of just a process for submitting payments and requests and invoices. So we're equalizing that. In some cases, the invoices were submitted with the purchase order. In some cases, they're not. It is not the central office job to scan invoices and enter them. That stopped. That's going to have to be done by each individual office. And I'm hoping that we can, in the business, actually, I'm working with some local vendors. We're going to try to test case billing once a month and paying invoices that way. I have 30 invoices from Dominion Power sitting on my desk, 30. Each one of those has to be individually entered in a purchase order or a blanket purchase order and then paid with a check. That is not sustainable long-term. I'm also here to advise the board, if you will, that there are going to be 2 requests for you to vote on quotes later on in this meeting. The board has a policy, the school board adopted a policy DJF with respect to financial purchasing management. That policy requires that any contracts to be put in place must follow Virginia Code 2.2-4302.1 and 2.2. We're not doing that. We need to start tonight. There should be no contracts that come to the board without at least 2 bids. That is what the Virginia Code says. So you should not be voting on contracts tonight or approvals tonight for the 2 things that are in there, the refrigerator and fire safety, unless we have a justification that those are sole source. I don't think you do that in the refrigerator. In the fire safety, I'm not sure. Mr. Hardcastle will know more on that. But if those get approved tonight and come to my desk, they're not going to be funded until we get another bid or a justification for why we need a sole source, because we don't know that those are the best prices, and that's what's required by Virginia Code. We will also, there's another report I've given you, which is the board adopted a policy in June of 2024 that all payments over $2,500 have to be approved by this board. The recommendation from the forensic audit was that any contracts or negotiated, if you will, small purchase thresholds have to be over $2,500, need to be brought to the board. The way the policy was implemented is any payment. There's inconsistency there. I'm not advocating for a ton of flexibility. I don't want you necessarily to change the policy tonight. I'm going to come to you with a recommendation that would change the wording in the policy to align to the forensic audit recommendations while keeping some strictures in place, but it needs to give some flexibility to the central office to be able to put some processes in place. One of the processes that we're looking to put in place is going to be a little bit more control around payment processing, because we're getting invoices in that exceed the line items. They're not getting paid. So there is a report that is the payments to be made over $2,500. And in some cases, what you'll see is that the dollar amount of a particular invoice might not exceed 2,500. But if you take in aggregate the payments we anticipate making over the year, it will. And I will not allow people to split payments just to not exceed that threshold. So I'm here to say that I'm going to take action on making these payments. And I'm advising you that we're going to have to change the policy. Otherwise, you're going to end up, we won't be able to, we'll be more than 3 months in arrears in payments if we have to wait to do that. So that's something that we need to make sure we're focused on. And I'll stop there because I've thrown a lot at you. There is another action that you are going to have to take tonight. The school board is requesting that there be a conference funded. You guys have no money for conferences. That line item has 0. That's the budget you approved. So I've worked with Ms. Lipton because if you're going to want to send someone to that conference or more than one, you're going to have to move money from another line item that is completely within the board's discretion to do. I have an email that was communication among the board members and between me and the board members to do that. That's up there for the public to view. But you're going to have to take action on that or we're not going to be able to make that payment. So I'll stop there to see what questions you have. Or if there's something I missed that you would like to hear about. If there's a report I missed filing, please let me know.
You referenced 8 inches of invoices.
Mhm.
Could you describe them? Were they paid, unpaid? Were they put in the computer, not put in the computer?
No
They
idea.
just
I
not-
have to look through each one of them to ascertain that. I have to look through that, ask UHY and look in the system. None of the 30 Dominion invoices that I have, not a single Dominion invoice has been entered since June 30th.
Right, but I'm just referencing, you kept referencing 8 inches of invoices.
I'm giving
But
you your
they were
answer.
Paid.
I don't know. I have to look at each single invoice.
Oh, well, you were talking about it like you knew what they were. So
I do know what they are. I have 8 inches of invoices.
Yeah, but you just said you didn't know what they were. So you're.
No, I did not. I did not say that. If you listen, what I said
Yeah, I
was there are 8 inches of invoices that have yet to be paid.
Oh,
I
I
have
asked
to-
if they were paid or unpaid. You said.
Do
you
they
had
have
no
a
idea.
purchase order? Have they been, you asked me if they've been paid or unpaid.
Right, and you said they're unpaid?
They're unpaid as far as I know. I have to look up each single one to see if there's a purchase order entered because a purchase order is not the same thing as a payment. If you have a payment that's authorized in RDA, that's not the same thing as cutting a payment from the county,
Correct.
right?
That's all I needed to know.
So someone hasn't been doing their job since June 30th.
Gotcha. And that would be UHY, correct?
No, that is incorrect.
And so-
UHY is not contracted to do that. UHY is contracted to enter invoices in the system that are approved by the central office.
I got you. And the date of that wrong payment, do you have that?
No,
Could I get the date of that wrong payment from you at some point?
sure.
Thank you. And then you're talking about our payment methods. We're still writing checks. I know we've talked about it in the past, even when the treasurer, the former treasurer was with the county. We've been trying for a while to get them up to date with electronic payments, ACH payments, that type of thing. They wanted us to be in line with the county. Have you spoken with the new treasurer, Ms. King, to see if we can go ahead and move forward with ACH?
So I am working for the county in the school system.
Yeah, Ms.
Yeah,
The
we're gonna, I have talked to Mary,
Okay.
right? And I have talked to Pam. Now, I'm not sure, even if they decide they want to stay with checks, there's no reason we can't, we have a lot of our vendors are in the school system
Right.
pay account where you can do an electronic transfer. I don't need the county's approval or Pam, the treasurer, the elected county treasurer's approval to set up an ACH with Dominion.
Well, in the past, they wanted it in line with how they paid vendors.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
We can have an ACH for Dominion without the county having an ACH for
That,
Dominion.
that's fine with me. I'm all for ACH. I just was asking the question. And then how many Dominion accounts do we have?
I don't know. I haven't looked through all 30 of those invoices to see how many we have yet.
So it's not like 30 months of invoices, like we probably have numerous accounts.
Correct. We have
Okay.
30 invoices since June 30th that do not show up in the system.
Got it. All right, and then you said there were checks that haven't been deposited,
Absolutely.
and what's the oldest date of the check?
August 1st.
August 1st.
And I have no idea why they haven't been deposited.
And so UHY wasn't taking care of that?
UHY that is not in their contract to deposit checks.
Well, I just thought they were taking the place as a finance
No.
director in that amount
No,
of time.
that is not what
'cause we
their
didn't
contract,
have one.
that's not what their contract, but we had,
Okay.
so their responsibility was upon approval, they were entering invoices, they were entering revenue. upon approval. So absolutely, right now UHY is supporting me because I'm identifying what needs to be entered,
Right.
sending it, giving it to them to make sure it's entered, and then giving them the permissions to move forward.
Got it.
We had an accounts payable person, so I can't answer for you why those checks haven't been deposited.
Well, the accounts payable person had to then move it to UHY for approval. UHY moved it to the county
Not,
for.
then why aren't the checks in the bank? But UHY wasn't
Yeah.
responsible for depositing checks.
Okay, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on that because.
We can, I can send
do
you the
know-
contract.
Yeah, I do know that.
No, I can send you the contract.
That's okay, that's.
My job is to get those checks deposited
That's
because
all my
it's unacceptable for
questions.
that much revenue to be sitting on a desk.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Next.
you're welcome.
I have some questions. I believe the date was September 8th on the register that was sent here.
Oh, for the WRIR payment? Okay,
Yeah.
September 8th. There we go. Thank you.
So, first of all, you have 8 inches of invoices. I don't know where you're sitting in the office. Where'd you get them from?
They were pulled from multiple offices, multiple locations. Majority of them were in the accounts payable desk, multiple different locations in accounts payable. Some of them were in the Director of Finance's office that had been gathered by the prior Director of Finance. And the rest of them, I haven't even started, I'm just now starting to log in the ones that have come in since September 19th, since I've been there.
Okay, so put all this aside.
Yep.
You're coming in here, you have 2 weeks on the job. You used to do this for a living. You retired from it. What is your assessment of our technology? Because what I'm hearing is we're operating in an antiquated environment. We're not up to date on using technology. We're not up to date and maybe the services we use, I don't know. But I want your assessment on where we are. And I want to be able to identify those things that need to be changed so that this doesn't happen again. Obviously, there's policies and procedures, protocols. Quite evident tonight that if you have 8 inches of invoices since June, something's not working. That's a policy and procedure issue. So please, I want to hear your assessment, having pretty much an expertise in the background because I looked you up. And I want to know what your thoughts are on it.
My initial thoughts, and this actually was on with 3 to 4 days in the office. We do not have systemic processes in place. They're efficient at all. The way that invoices come in, the way that they're processed, the way that they're handled leaves way too much room for error, miscalculation, overpayment, or missing invoices. So there is a component of this that we can fix with more discipline and established SOPs. So that's part of what UHY is writing. That absolutely is part of what they're writing. There's one procedure that I changed. It's not yet in a written document, but I can tell you this much, nothing's coming across my desk if it doesn't have a certain thing attached to it. So that's one. The technology is outdated. To me, it looks like it's COBOL. I'm not a programmer, but I worked with a system similar to this in terms of how you have to run the reports. I cannot imagine this day and age that you have to check or uncheck boxes, false, true statements. You should just be able to go run a report, pluck, pull, off you go. Now, the system that we do have, the team is super helpful in answering your questions, but you have to pull through multiple pages of options for reports in order to get one that you think might work. And then you still have to tweak it. So from that perspective, there must be some SaaS services that are out there. One of the ones I know the county looked at is on the General Services Administration schedule, which means we as a school, we are an authorized user of those schedules. I already looked it up. We can get government discounts, US federal government discounts for any services that we do buy through some of those companies. I'm not an expert in necessarily what the best software is in this space. What I can say is it's not this. So probably 20% of this, maybe less than 20% can be fixed with better processes. And then there's probably another 40% or even more that's going to be the technology. And then there might be some mix of other things that's a remainder of the rest. It is not insurmountable. I'm not here to say that we can't do this because I've seen nothing come across my desk that can't be fixed. Nothing. It just requires a little discipline.
So with that being said, what's your over under on how long it's going to take 12, 18 months to get these processes in place. And the question, we use RDA and I'm just thinking if you said 1970s, so we're 50 years behind in our technology. Are there things in our contract with RDA, upgrades for RDA that have been overlooked or not applied for that could have fixed this process? Is that something that we need to look at our contracts, not only with RDA, but we need to look at contracts with all of our vendors and to make sure that we're operating in an environment. If you have 30 old Dominion accounts for one school system, I don't know why they couldn't be grandfathered into one account and paid monthly or whatever through that one account. It seems like we're doing 30 times the work that we really need to. And you're only here 2 weeks now, right? So I'm sure you're going to come across more stuff, but I'd like your thoughts on that.
So those are two different issues. So the first issue you're talking about, the system, I believe we're on a subscription basis for them, which means we just buy whatever their commercial product is on a subscription, annual subscription basis. One of the things that we're going to be looking at is whether or not we own our data. Because if we don't, we have to pay a true-up cost on that. We'd have to get an assessment for how much that is. I hope to God that that contract has data rights written into it, or we're going to be in a world of hurt with all our data and invoices, contracts, payroll, everything. I would estimate that you need probably 18 to 24 months to do market research, solicit, and identify a product that might be comparable. Now's the time, if we're going to be looking at a budget for 2027, fiscal year 27, now's the time to be looking at that to see what we need. And then you're probably going to need another year or two, depending on who's in place for some change management. I have done change management like this before in the previous world for a workforce of a lot of people. And it's a little bit different because the change management sometimes is the hardest piece. People are used to a system. They know how it works. It's easy to do. And getting something new takes some time. So you're going to need to allow some time for that. I would estimate your tail on this is anywhere from 24 to 48 months before you get a new product in. So you have to make the best with the product that you have. The second piece that you asked was about when we have 30 different invoices. I'm not sure they're 30 different accounts, two different things. I'm going to call Dominion and I'm going to get their account manager to come down here and sit down with me, or I'm going to go to their office, depending on where they're at, to find out why we can't put a parent-child relationship in place, get billed once a month, and then simply push out one payment and have it distributed. We had a check returned for $88 because it didn't have the right account number on it. They couldn't figure out which account to attribute it to. So if you look at the dollars that were associated with whoever processed that check, put the invoice in, did all the payments on it, it's worth more than $88, and now we got to redo it all. So I'm already, like I said, I'm already starting to talk to maybe at least one or two of the local vendors to see if we can get on a test case. Now I'm talking too fast again. If we can get on a test case for doing monthly invoices, because we get all these slips in and bills in, people are sending stuff in the mail. Sometimes it's not getting to the right address. We might be able to do a bolt-on to RDA for an electronic data interchange. And if we can do that, then we can start paying a lot more invoices electronically. At a minimum, we can do a bank payment in ACH, right? Just an EFT. That doesn't require a change in the county process. It doesn't require a change in anything except the processes at the school board office.
So I'm trying to think long-term here. So as we're going through this process, I think it's imperative that, and Chip, thanks for being here tonight, Board of Supervisors, District 5, thank you. Appreciate it. If we're going to do this research and we're going to look at this technology that's out there, is this going to be a countywide thing that we're going to bring to the Board of Supervisors in terms of, this is the best application for payments for the county, not only just the school system? I just want to make sure that the right hand's talking to the left hand here, and that we're doing not duplicity in our work effort, but
No,
we're doing it on behalf of the
supervisors actually 2 years ago asked for research into a new product that they could use. So I have already met with the Board of Supervisors in an open meeting, and they asked me some similar questions, and I made a strong recommendation that we, within the next 18 months, we identify a product, we start building it into the budget, and we start planning for change. But we cannot be on this product in 2030. Or you're going to have to, what I keep hearing is we need more people, we need more people. No, you need a better use of technology. there's no reason to scan invoices and email them. None.
I think your first bullet item here is really something that needs to go home to the Board of Supervisors, is the technology is not user-friendly, which makes it difficult to obtain data for simple analysis. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that we have to look at in fixing this process. So I hope that you're going to give this presentation to the Board of Supervisors on Thursday.
It's already in board docs.
I'll be there,
It's,
obviously.
it's already public.
And so I just feel like I hate to say it, when I heard you talk, I felt like we are in a system where we're using paper pencil ledgers versus technology, because I think back to the 70s and 80s, and a lot of these processes weren't in place, and that's how we did things. And I understand that, and it did work at the time, but we're in a different era now. And I feel like we need to embrace technology at a greater level. And this is just me talking, but at the county level as well.
So there's an opportunity. And even I'm old school. I mean, look, Mr. Hardcastle came up here with his laptop and he pulled up his presentation. Look, I've got paper and I've written notes on it. I'm not a Luddite, but I'm also not a tech geek. It's a great opportunity to move forward. As Dr. Leslie says, it's forward together. This is an excellent opportunity to bring the county, not just the school. This is,
Yeah, I
The
was gonna
county.
say, I know in the past, we've had trouble. They were on the paper pencil ledger system and we wanted to move forward.
well,
We
they
had
being,
to move forward together. So-
right. And that's why there's a county finance administrator.
Yeah.
She's coming on board.
Correct.
I'm not planning on going anywhere for as long as my, volunteer services will be accepted. I'm happy to provide them. I'm certainly think my role will change once we get the full team on board. I won't be doing accounts payable. I won't be doing HR. I won't be entering bank account information, but that needs to be done right now. And that's what I'm doing.
So two things. When I went through all the documentation over the weekend, I actually could figure out what was happening by the documentation that was presented. I would encourage, I don't know if that was you or whoever did that, but I would encourage that we continue with that process, because it makes it much easier for us to understand where our spending is happening. And then the final thing, do you have any questions of this board that you want to ask of this board?
I don't know that I'm smart enough yet in terms of what the role is to really ask. I think I know what the strategic priorities of the board are, but I'm assuming that y'all are going to be working on that so that can flow. I'd like to know if there's support that the board thinks they need from the county finance administrator that they're not getting. So the reports, it's good to hear that those reports are good. Those are canned reports. I didn't have to do a lot of work to create them. I just had to ask for them and they were provided. So now understanding the data and pulling it together, if this summary is useful to you guys, the one pager, I can continue to do that. I also had the risks and mitigation. If there are certain risks that you think you see coming down the pipeline that you're aware of, I can tell you right now, we're getting calls every day and emails every day from vendors that are getting ready to cut off our services if stuff isn't paid. So I've got another one that said, if we don't pay by the 23rd of October, it's getting cut off. So that payment is getting pushed out now. We are that behind in payments where we're getting cutoff notices from vendors for essential services. We had to pay one of our vendors we had to pay that manages our finance system. If we didn't pay by October 1st, it was going to get killed. Right?
Yeah, that was one of the things we talked to Mr. Reagan when he was here about, is all of the late notices and everything coming in.
Well, I'm here to tell you.
So they weren't done.
No, they weren't. And I don't understand it considering we had people in those positions at the county level and school level. So,
Well, we didn't at that time.
yes, well, UHY is meeting their
I did-
contractual obligations and exceeding them. I got to say, I have no problem with what they're doing right now at all.
Not at that time, they weren't, because we were questioning. And I do want to circle back to that September 8th payment that was entered by UHY into the vendor system incorrectly, not our staff.
I don't
can
know.
Verify that.
I have no idea.
And then you said the RDA system is outdated. Are there any updates that we need to do? I know like a lot of the computer systems, you have to pay for an updated or upgraded system. Have we done that lately?
Usually when you have a subscription service, you get the latest update. You don't have to pay for
So you
special
don't
update.
have to do any
No.
upgrades or
So
anything?
when you get a
So
subscription
we have
service
the most up-to-date system with RDA, not
with
what's out
RDA,
there, but with
the cost has
RDA.
increased significantly. I'm not sure why.
Okay.
Not only do we have, again, it's a subscription base, so we're buying whatever their current market
I
product
know
is.
so many other schools use it. I know the tech center uses it, the county, a lot of the surrounding school systems. I just don't know why we have such a hiccup with it.
I don't know what hiccup you're referencing.
You said that's not feasible, that RDA system is not what we should be using.
No.
We could be going to a different system.
People use it because it's what theyve been used to.
Okay,
That's not unusual.
okay.
I mean, I'm having a hard time because I use one software product for email and I can't stand the product that the school uses. I can't figure out
I
sometimes.
know in the past, we had some employees that were having issues with it and we paid extra like for classes or someone to teach them how to use it. Is that something you're interested in?
Oh, it's not an issue about classes. They provide great
No,
customer support.
I didn't know if you wanted to.
I don't
take
need
that
a class. I don't need a class.
Oh, but I thought you said you had trouble using the RDA system.
No, what I said was,
Okay.
in a world where you should be able to point and click for report. If I have to say, if I have to use if then statements and select and unselect boxes,
Uh-huh,
that's not how technology should work. I'm not saying I can't do it.
I got you.
I'm saying it takes me sometimes, and not just me, I actually had somebody that had 25 years experience with this system sit down at my desk to walk me through something. This person couldn't figure it out either. It took us 2 hours and we still had to call for help. And this is a user that has 25 years experience in the system. That's not just me.
Got it. And who was that?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't,
No, it's someone with 25 years experience.
but they were a school employee?
It was someone who works with schools.
Okay.
I have maybe a suggestion, going forward. I really think that we need to have a financial calendar, so that we know when contracts have to be paid in full, like a technology contract, something that we can track so that we can give it to the Board of Supervisors, by splitting the budget into 4 equal components. It may not necessarily work. We have things due throughout the school year, and if we had a financial calendar, we'd be able to identify the appropriate costs that we need for each one of the quarters going forward.
Oh, that's just not a calendar, sir. That is solid fiscal management. You should know when your invoices are due. So what happened with the way the board did it, and I'm not throwing stones because the county needed the school to be on a quarterly appropriation. The equal division across 4 quarters is not the best way to do it because you have some contracts that should be paid up front. So that is part of what UHY is doing an analysis of the bigger contracts. There's been a poll out through the different school board financial advisors. We're not the only county on a quarterly apportionment. Some people are on a monthly. Monthly. So what that means is you have to have a really good understanding of what is due when. So I agree with you on the calendar. I take a financial calendar as something a little bit different. So when you say contracts, for me, that is when is the expiration date on the contract and when do we need to back up so we can start negotiating if we need to.
That's
So-
the other thing I was going to suggest.
Yeah. There's multiple aspects to it, and all that is an opportunity to excel.
Could you report back to us after your Dominion meeting? Because I do know they have a different account number for each building and sometimes each meter. So it could be that we literally have 12 accounts or something. I'm just making up a number. But I'm just curious after you speak with them.
I'll be
what
at
the
every
outcome
meeting.
is.
I'm absolutely happy to be at every one of the school
Yeah,
board
I
meetings.
mean, just have it ready to tell us what you found out from Dominion. 'cause
If I'm able to meet with
curious.
them, absolutely, you got
Okay,
it. I will definitely make sure I report out. And
Okay.
Dominion won't be the only one I'll be working
Right.
with. And it's a matter of timing, honestly, Mrs. O'Bear. I have no idea when those meetings will occur.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely happy to share.
Thank you. I'm
Yep.
just curious. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. You're doing this pro bono because you live in the county, I guess. I don't know what your motives are, but you're taking on an enormous responsibility and you're not being paid for it. And I just want to recognize that. I think it's honorable, because I think your intentions are good. So I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other questions? And please do make sure you vote on that conference or it's not going to happen. And so I would ask that you do whatever, whether it's up or down, it doesn't matter, but without public direction from this board on what to do with that conference, it will not get paid out of school funds.
We have some of us that aren't going, so we'll have to discuss it. Do you want to make a motion now? Do y'all want to discuss it?
I can't hear.
Just so if you guys want to make a motion to make the move of money for the conference.
So y'all done with me. I'll let you guys discuss. I'm done, right?
Yeah, we're done with you.
Thank you.
Sure, we can make a motion.
Does it need to have the specific amount that needs to be moved?
I think we said 2,500.
So if we make such motion, Dr. Pika, sorry, he just sat down. How much funding would need to be moved? I don't know what the conference costs per employee, but
So you need to move, I think Ms. Lipton may have, you need to move the amount for the registration and all the travel. You need to move that out of the travel, the travel budget into the conference budget. I do not know what that estimate is. I don't know what the estimate is for the I didn't do that work. I just know it needs to be moved.
Yeah, I know it was carried. That was all set from the previous budget last year. It was in that one line item from the previous budget of last year. That's why it was still there. So it needs to be moved from travel to conference.
Right, because last year y'all didn't approve any conferences. You made a point of mentioning that in the Board of Supervisors meeting when the budget was getting cut. So I applaud you for that. If this is something you want to reinstitute, then absolutely it needs to be moved from what I call the
Travel to
$10,000 line item. It needs to be moved from travel into conference. And I don't know and whatever you do, whatever you decrement that $10,000 line item from, that is your remainder then for the rest of the year for your mileage reimbursement and other travel costs.
I don't think we were looking at moving the whole 10,000, correct? No.
No, but if you move 3,500, then you only have 6,500 left for the rest of
Right.
the year. That's all.
Yeah, I think we were looking at, I wouldn't think any more than 2,500. Like I said, I'm not able to attend, but I know in the past.
I think Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, 395 registration fee per person.
$395 per registration.
So say just round up, that's 1,100. And then
We've got 4 people,
hotel rooms are,
$150 a night.
as it stands right now, I believe we're going to send 3 members of the board.
3 members, and if there's a new member voted in November.
So that bumps it up to 1,500 registration, say $200 a night, 2 nights, that's 400 times 4, 1,600. We're gonna have to move at least 3,000 over. That should cover mileage, just
yeah.
driving one way.
And if it's over, if it's.
I don't even
mileage,
report my
that's
mileage.
travel Too.
We could take
I
a
don't
county
get
card
reimbursed for
too.
mileage.
Mileage is separate.
3,000.
Whatever's the wish of the board.
3,000.
Okay, okay, go ahead. Make the motion.
I move. It is my motion that we move $3,000 from the travel line into the conference line for the VSBA conference,
Do I have a
annual
second?
conference.
I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Comments? Vote? Aye. All right, so 3,000. All right, is there anything else anyone wants to discuss under finances? Except for donations. I know we need to make a motion to approve the donations. Good. All right, so I'd like to list the donations for approval. We have Rappahannock Concert Association. They donated to the NES Music Department $500. Johnny and Linda Smith donated to NES for school supplies $100. And then the American Junior Golf Foundation donated to Northumberland County Public Schools for participation in the gold tournament. And that was $6,861.50. So we very much extremely appreciate their donations. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the donations as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Comments? Vote? Aye. All right, so we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Leslie.
Okay, thank you. I have a few parts in my report that have already been covered, so obviously this is up for public view. Couple of quick announcements as our fall break is coming up. Please don't forget, we will have no school and offices will be closed this Friday. And also next week, Monday, no school and offices closed. So we will happily see you again on Tuesday, October the 14th. Wanted to congratulate NHS on a great job doing SATs last week. That's quite the undertaking. You'll see there's a second chart here. I have also included the information from the Virginia Department of Education, and I know there's a lot of information floating around on Virginia Department of Education's vote to change the SOL cut scores, or the minimum score needed to be achieved by a student to show mastery. So Virginia Department of Education did vote to increase the SOL scores in certain areas, specifically reading and math. Formerly, it was a 400 across the board. So if you got a 400 in math, didn't matter your grade level, you were mastery. You got a 400 in reading, didn't matter your grade level, you were mastery. This particular chart is just some of the recommendations made by a group of superintendents, not me, across the state of Virginia. They did vote on increasing these SOL scores, and that vote did go through. So there will be an increase in SOL scores. The reason I wanted to take the time to discuss this is there are two things that are important. First, it isn't for this year. So it's not for this school year. If your student is a senior, this does not affect your student. And they are calling this year, hopefully, year 0, so it doesn't count. They are voting on October the 23rd about how they will roll these scores out. So they have a couple of plans in the works. Some of them say they'll roll it out gently on a 4-year plan, meaning it increases a little bit the first year, a little bit more the second year, and so on and so forth. That vote has not yet happened. So I just wanted to be clear, there's a lot of stuff out on social media, on in the news, that plan has not been made yet. So we do not exactly know where these scores will fall and when we would need to meet them. I will say I was at a meeting with VDOE today. They are going to be offering some extra merit-based grants, or competitive grants rather, for some of the services that might be needed to supplement instruction. We're not at that point yet. I just wanted to make sure to put this out. Again, I've only cut the one table here for you to look at. The report is there. And then there's further information on VDOE's website. So we'll keep you posted as that vote comes through. Just wanted to make sure to address it. Other than that, I have just a couple of minor points. In my report, we already reviewed transportation and operations and maintenance with the well replacement. Did want to touch briefly on grants management since Ms. Smith is unable to be here today, to just let you know that we have a number of title grant reimbursements that have been sent out. And so we are waiting for them to make their way through VDOE. But I just wanted to sort of keep everybody updated, and I have updated Dr. Peak on these as well as we're walking through some of these reimbursements. That's all I have. I would invite any of the directors who are excited to come up and talk or ask questions.
Come on up.
Come on up, Mr. Hardcastle.
Alrighty, so am I speaking in regards to your director report, or can I speak in regards to what pertains to?
Right now, so your the fire solutions came under action items, so it would be your report at this point, but it is of course the pleasure of the board.
Okay, for fire solutions, the reason why that was put as an action item is because they're the only vendor who can offer that. So I guess they would be identified as a sole vendor, sole source. So that's something that I could have included as well. I'm still a little new to the position. I didn't know I needed to include that. That is something that now that I know, when it comes to specific things like this, if it is a sole source, then I will include that in the future proposals in the future action items that I move forward with. After that, the only other thing that I can speak on is, I do have a little bit more information in regards to the Virginia Dominion Power, I guess, miscommunication that we have here. If the board would like to hear it, I would love to speak on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Just having difficulty hearing you.
Okay, you can put your mic up here, right.
Much better. Oh, it's just me.
sorry. So I guess I would like to start with the number of accounts that we have. So I did make a phone call to the Virginia Dominion Power. I made a phone call either July or August, once I started to receive invoices, because I realized we were doing the same thing that Dr. Pika stated, is we have many different accounts that would all take purchase orders to create, or purchase orders that would need to be created, and then we would need to send an individual check per account to Dominion Power for each individual invoice that we get. I called them and I asked them, can we combine these accounts? Now, their response to me was, hey, you can, but you have to have over a certain number of accounts. And I said, okay, so for me to be able to do this, I need to tell you how many accounts we have. And they said, yes. I could only tell them how many accounts we had at the moment because of the number of invoices that I had. That number was under the number that they needed for them to be able to combine our accounts. Now, we may have more than the number of accounts that they would need to be able to move forward with combining the accounts. I was just only able to see the number based on the number of invoices that I had that day on my account, which was sent to me in maybe a 15-page document that I needed to decipher and go through and create individual purchase orders for each invoice as well. So after doing that, I was able to create a blanket purchase order that is in the system in RDA right now, $30,000. And I also put my approval on all of the individual invoices that I received, attached them to that purchase order. And that purchase order was also approved by Dr. Whaley before she was able to leave. So all of the invoices that I have received on my desk have been approved by me, and they are in RDA waiting to be paid.
Okay. Thank you for that. And do we have like one Dominion representative for all of our accounts, since we are like, I'm sure we're one of the larger customers, I'm just guessing, that they could actually tell us how many accounts we have without you having to decipher all that yourself?
I would like to say we have, yeah, I've spoken with a few people through their customer service line. I haven't spoken with anyone specifically that may be identified as our individual account rep
Okay.
or account manager. So I would love to speak with them in regards to that, because that's information that I also requested a couple of months ago as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Do you guys have any other questions for me while I'm up here?
No, sir. So we're holding off on the fire count. Oh, good. Okay. All right. And then I did, I moved forward to the school nutrition purchase, and she did state that that was rollover funds from the 24-25 budget. Two quotes. Okay. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I thought you were asking about the source of, okay. Got it. And he did get two quotes on the fire solution
No, but
contract.
there's only one that you can get.
There's,
quote
oh,
for.
okay, got it. All right, so we're tabling both of those action items, correct?
No, we can hear the fire solutions because he can't get another quote for the
Ah,
freezer. She
okay.
needs to
I'm
go
sorry.
get a quote.
Okay. I just
Is
want to
that
make it
correct,
more.
Dr. Pika?
Yeah, if only one, then we're good. Got it. All right, so then I'd like to make a motion to approve the new fire solution as presented by, contract as presented by Mr. Hardcastle.
Second.
Comments?
Vote.
Vote. Aye. Sorry, I was still reading. All right, and we're tabling school nutrition. So then we're moving on to open public comments. Oh, facility use. Gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm rushing it right along. I skipped right over it and went to the fire. All right, so let me read the facility use request and then we'll do that as one action item altogether. So we have a request from Etudes Ballet School for December 13th and 14th, use of the auditorium and band room. We have a request from Northern Neck Soil and Water, October 25th, to use the bus parking lot. We have a request from the Northumberland County Sheriff's Office. Well, that's already passed, September 22nd and 25th. They use the new STEM building. And then we have a request from Mr. Richard Haney for a debate, October 19th, 3 to 5 p.m., use of the NHS NMS auditorium, and that is pending liability certificate. So I would need a motion to pass all of those facility use requests.
So moved.
And do I hear a second? Any comments? Vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's all of the action items. So now we'll move on to open public comment. Do we have any in-person comments? Nope. All right, so I'll skip that part. So any persons online who wish to comment, please hit *9 to raise your hand now. I'll just remind you that that's limited to 3 minutes or less per speaker. Do we have any online comments?
Currently, we do not have anyone that has raised their hand.
None?
Not yet.
All right. We'll move on to board member comments. Anybody? No? All right, I'll go. So we had our Northern Neck Tech Center meeting on Tuesday, September 23rd, and I have lots of good stuff to update on. We are now accepting applications for the 26-27 school year. There are these QR codes up in all of the guidance offices at all of the schools that participate in the Tech Center. And so we're hoping to get an early count of students applying and an early count of how many slots we would have left open to advertise. We also want to congratulate our chef at the Tech Center, who is Mr. Gary Whitecotton. We recognize him. He has been honored by being awarded the Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association's ProStart Teacher of the Year Award. This prestigious recognition highlights his dedication and expertise and commitment to inspiring students to be the next generation of culinary professionals. So that's a very big prestigious award throughout the whole state, and he was chosen. Then we have a new instructor spotlight that's spotlighting Mr. Jeff Brand, which everyone is familiar with Jeff Brand, who used to be here for our maintenance department. He serves now as the Marine Service Technology and Small Engine Instructor at the Tech Center. He brings extensive experience to the position, including more than 20 years in the United States Coast Guard. So congratulations to Mr. Brand. And that Tech Center class is just needed so much in our area with all of the boating, the people that come down here and vacation and need their boats worked on, all of the like Jets Jets Marine, we have Wheelands, we have so many different marinas and different places that work on all of the boats, and to have local students go right into that position, it's a great class that we started up a few years ago up there. I just wanted to also announce that the Tech Center is excited that we are introducing hands-on CPR training certification for all of our students. So that's something that's very well needed. I would love to see that even at the high school level, if we could do that. You just never know when you need to be that person to save someone's life. And then another and final, we have the advisory board dinner. That's an annual banquet that highlights the companies that actually participate on the advisory boards at the Tech Center. That's going to be October 28th at the Tech Center at 5:30. And I'll be attending, and we're hoping Dr. Leslie can attend. And it's just they actually nominate past students to go into the Hall of Fame at the Tech Center, past employees, that type of thing. So it's just a really fun night. It's really great banquet to go to. And I think that's all I have. Sorry, I had lots. Well, not sorry. It was good. I had lots of good news to report on.
First, I'd like to thank Mrs. Dana Ovia for standing in for me tonight.
We're just glad you're back, girl.
Well, thank you. And so at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second,
Vote?
thank you everyone for coming.